So it's been over a month at this point, but I have finally watched the entirety of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Let's hope I don't go through the same process with Loki, but in case I do, I have a pretty good contingency plan for a video to make. But I've already made several videos about my conflicting relationship with the Marvel Disney Plus shows, so let's just skip all that and get into the meat of the video. I really liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which we will be referring to as Fatwist for the rest of the video. I loved Zemo, I loved Sam and Bucky's chemistry, I love the action scenes, and the scene where Zemo puts on the sock made me scream of joy. However, nothing in this world is perfect, and neither is this show. So let me introduce you to one of my big problems with Fatwist, John Walker. Don't get me wrong, his plotline is surprisingly compelling. In fact, if it wasn't for the last episode, I probably wouldn't have a problem with this character at all, and probably would have, cited him as one of the things I loved about this series. But the problem is, most of the show sets him up as, this character that the audience loves to hate. He's supposed to be this dark reflection of what Steve Rogers could have been if he had anger issues, and basically serves a tutorial for Sam about what not to do when he becomes Cap. However, the finale screwed this up by giving him this, redemptive moment that seems to miss that we were supposed to dislike John by having him save this truck full of politicians. And this moment just seems like a missed opportunity, because it could have been given a lot more nuance with just, a smirk and a short conversation. So let's get into that. However, before I start pitching my fix, I would just like to say that despite me thinking that this version is better, I by no means think that I am a better writer than the actual writers of Fatwist. Not only do I have the benefit of hindsight, but the actual writers may or may not have written it this way to set up sequels or something. I just want to make that blatantly obvious to everyone watching before we get this started. And speaking of getting this started, let's do that, because I feel like I've said that 3 times already, so I feel like I should just follow up on my promises for once. So the first change I want to make is to move this scene where John gets his new suit and shield to the post-credit scene of episode 5 rather than the end of episode 6. This way isn't necessarily better, it's just necessary to what I'm about to pitch. Wow, I said necessary a lot in that sentence. But the second change I want to make is that when John shows up during the final battle, not only is he wearing the new suit and shield to match up with what the post-credit scene that I just pitched, but he's also using a lot more brute force when fighting the Flag Smashers. He's using the shield as a weapon, and it is in general escalating the situation, which makes him kind of the opposite of Sam, who is pretty much always trying to end his fights before they get bad, as opposed to Walker, who is in this scene supposed to be the one who is making things bad. However, here is the big change. When the truck begins to fall down, before John goes to save it, he looks over at the crowd of people recording him and has a flashback to all of the onlookers in Latvia recording him killing the Flag Smasher, and smirks before he runs off to save the truck. After Sam actually saves it, Bucky confronts John about this, saying that he knows he only did that to save face for his actions in Latvia, and that the point of saving people is because it's right, not because people will like you for it. John brushes this off, explaining that he and Bucky should not be arguing about this because the Flag Smashers are a threat that is bigger than either of them, and then the rest of the episode plays out exactly the same, except without the scene of John and Val. So why did I make this change? Well, it turns the moment of John trying to save the truck from being this triumphant, redemptive moment of blindly saving people to just a moment of a selfish jackass trying to save face for something bad he did in the past. John Walker is not a good character, but he's also not bad either. He's supposed to be morally dubious, sort of like Punisher or Wolverine, or probably less than those two actually. But the original series having this moment of, like, pure goodness sort of ruins that. My version would make this moment instead like an act of goodness that is laced with bad undertones. Sort of like how the moment in episode 4 is definitively a bad thing, but since he's doing it to avenge his best friend who was literally just murdered in front of him, it has a little bit of goodness in it. Neither of these actions should be 100% good or bad. That's basically the core of this character. So that's how to fix Fatwas. I have no idea why I made this video, because the show is already out, so there is no way to go back and add this change. So in order to avoid similar tragedies in the future, I suggest that Marvel hire me as a writer. You guys should really let me write for the Moon Knight series, because I have a lot of good ideas. Actually, I would happy with literally any job at Marvel. I would be willing to take out the trash cans. I will give Kevin Feige coffee. Actually, I might just show up at Kevin's house with a truck full of coffee grounds and threaten to force feed them to him unless he agrees to make me a writer. Just kidding, please don't do that. Please don't call the cops, Mr. Feige. Oh shoot, they're already here. I gotta go.